over. In progress. Oh, so call me, will ya?
You can't get into the Zoom invite?
No, the numbers I'm calling, it says that they.
Was that you, Chris? Echoing? You're on mute, Chris.
On mic or you?
All righty. We're all in the same room on different computers, so yeah, if you want to. And Deb is on the phone. She's on speakerphone, so I'm just gonna turn that up and
Ask if Jackie can hear us.
Jackie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
See Lori peeking around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to our special meeting. We're here to discuss the resolution of the purchase of fuel. Jackie, will you take roll call, please?
Board Member Selgrade,
Present.
White,
Present.
Smith,
Present.
Rosga,
Yes.
She can't hear without that.
So the only person we're missing is Adam, is that
Yeah,
correct?
and Adam wasn't sure that he was going to be able to make it, so I
Okay.
think we're safe to proceed without him.
Okay, thanks everybody for joining this quick meeting. We are here to discuss the resolution approving the future purchase of fuel. Mike, do you want to give us any background?
Yep, I sure can. Like I say, I appreciate everybody jumping on this real quick. So last week I got a phone call from Lauren, who's our FS, Agriland FS representative when we buy fuel. He said, I got a proposal that we're working on. What they've got is another customer of theirs that's got tanks or generation tanks of fuel that they're going to be taking that fuel out and wanting somewhere to go with that. It's not a done deal on their end yet, but they're moving forward with things. And just before they move forward, they need to know they got somewhere they can go with this fuel. So I did ask that they pull samples of the fuel to make sure we don't have any fungus or algae growing in there. Not that the turbines can, and as much fuel we got can withstand some of that, but you know, if it's high concentration, I think Lauren from FS and myself both agreed we'd walk away from the deal. But at what he proposed to me was $2 to $2.25 a gallon is what he thought. And so what I told him, I said, what I'm hearing is you're saying it's $2 a gallon since you give me that number.
Good negotiation skills.
So I did talk to him again yesterday, and what we're looking at, they don't know the exact fuel amount. It could be anywhere from 15 to 23, 25. They don't know. So that's why Chris agreed that we just say it's up to 25,000 gallons of fuel, up to that. It's not, this isn't a locked in 100% guarantee that we will get the fuel if things come back, but we wanted to be able to move forward with this so things could continue to move forward if we got it. Kind of some other background. We purchased fuel the last time when the board gave us approval in November. We paid $3.08 a gallon for fuel. Today on the rail, it's $3.30. It's going the wrong direction again for us. So if we can get that at $2, the average fuel price in our current tank is $1.79.8. So we're within 20 cents of what our average price is, which is a lot better than what we had been seeing to kind of start. We know that number is going to come up. That kind of softens the blow, I guess, a little bit. So.
Did you want to talk about what the inventory is right now?
Yep, inventory, we've got about 411,000 gallons in that west tank, and then we got about 18,000 in the east tank. And if you remember, we need approximately 60,000 gallons of fuel minimum in each tank to be able to even start the turbine, just because of the elevation of those tanks with gravity flow. So, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely, we got some room in there to mix there with, you know, the 411,000 gallons, we dump another 20,000 in, it'd mix in really well with what we've got available. Like I say, I normally wouldn't care, but at this price, it's like getting 30% off or better, 35% off. I'd take any questions.
Mike, do you
I
think
think-
there's room to try to lower that price to talk them down below $2?
I don't, I mean, I sure can try. He kind of laughed at me when I said the $2 when he said, I knew I shouldn't give you a range right off the bat, but I said, well, you had to have somewhere for me to go. So I don't, when I talked to him yesterday, I didn't get the feeling they were going to go any lower because it is in multiple locations. They got to use their own trucks to pull the fuel out of there, pump it out and reclaim it and then deliver it to our location.
It just seems like they might be a little bit desperate to get some cash in exchange for that gas. So
Yep,
just wanted-
nope, I can. Yep, nope, I can sure have that conversation and still try to get it knocked down if possible.
And then you
On the
had
flip side
mentioned,
of it,
sorry, you had mentioned that is the cost delivered and put into our tank, correct?
That'd be my understanding, correct?
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say the flip side of it is it's possible they could have a couple, 3 customers interested in it. I don't know if Mike has a feel for that. If so, they, you know, may go to the higher bidder. I guess I just want, and I know you addressed it already, Mike, and Chris did also in his email. I knew diesel had longer shelf life. I guess I didn't know it was 5-6 years or longer. And I just want to make sure that we're not hurting the fuel that we already have by dumping this other stuff in there.
No, I don't believe so. I mean, we've been dumping fuel in that for a long time, and I'm sure, to be honest, there's probably fuel somewhere in there in that mix is probably 10 years old. Just as part of the chemistry of it being mixed in, as we continue to add it in, it just mixes in. But I'll go back to our old electric superintendent, used to be here for years, and he loved those turbines. He said once you get them turbines started, they'd probably burn on garbage if you could liquefy it. So.
Well, we should try that.
Well, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And make, if we could liquefy it, it'd make our fuel costs go down quite a bit,
Might
probably.
not be a fun job required though. Any other questions for Mike?
Yeah, so, or maybe this is Chris. There was the discussion that if we spend, say, 40,000 on this, that would come out of next year's budget, right? Or it would be reduced in next year's budget, correct?
We certainly have the option. Electric has substantial enough reserves where, you know, $40,000 probably, you know, we can pick that from a number of places. So the board could give direction to reduce our next year's fuel purchase by that amount, or we could leave the 70,000 in there to give us flexibility next year also.
We have to.
Well,
just-
Dom does bring up a good point, and in my experience, government tends to spend their budgets. So I think it might be a good idea to anticipate earmarking that and taking that away. If we get another super deal someplace where we need to do something, we can always make a change. But I do like the idea of accounting for that, I guess.
Yep, that's definitely a possibility.
Well, I'm saying it should be more than a possibility.
Well, that's why I'm, yeah, it's not, yeah, I agree.
So he'll note that in his budget as he's talking about it for 24. We'll
Yeah.
recognize it.
Yep, yep.
Does that affect anything, taking that amount out of this current budget? Is there anything that we would be pulling away from? I know we a lot of times say, well, you know, we've got the funds, but you say that too many times and we don't have the funds, right? So I just want to make sure that this wouldn't be reducing our ability to manage and function our existing responsibilities or hurt anything like that.
No, not at all. You know, we have the dollars in the budget. I mean, this is now the second or third year in a row because we have underspent our budget. So we have this ability to absorb it with no impact. The supply chain problems will impact our ability to function far more than this would.
So this isn't gonna come out of the reserves then?
It's
I thought that's what your email said, that it was gonna be coming out of the reserves.
if we don't change the budget, it would be using the reserves to dedicate it. Because we have expenditures in other places that we're likely not going to accomplish. You know, I guess you can think of it as coming out of the reserves, but it's really, we do have extending expenditures or outstanding that we won't spend all of those. So it's not going to get to the point where we're overspend and then go into reserves.
Oh, okay.
Chris, you can correct me, but Deb, to put that a different way, they'll charge this purchase to the fuel supply account that they have, and it will run over budget for this year. And then that gets combined with all the other accounts that are going to be somewhat over or under budget. And then whatever that net is will flow into the reserve. So it is getting charged to the reserves, but it's going to get mixed with all the other financial activity.
Okay,
And in the end, it might be a net that we wouldn't end up taking from reserve because we'll have underages or under some of those accounts, basically.
Exactly. Yep.
And Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll notice that also, because right now there's showing $70,000 in that budget. We spent the additional 70 because we didn't spend it in last year's budget coming forward. So we've taken account for that to bring that forward as well.
yeah. Okay,
Other questions before we take a motion to vote?
So will our motion contain a price, or are we just gonna tell Mike to go get it?
I would suggest we do up to the $2 a gallon, and if Mike can get it at a cheaper price, then that is what we go with, rather than locking in it's only a $2 vote. Is that fair?
Yeah, the resolution says up to.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, the resolution says not to exceed both 25,000 gallons and not to exceed $2 a gallon.
Is that fair?
Yes.
That motion.
Agree.
So I need to read it before we actually vote on it. It's, I'm not reading it all. I'm just gonna read the high points. We're gonna use the fuel to generate electricity during periods of extreme weather, and we're gonna purchase up to 25,000 gallons of diesel at $2 a gallon from Agriland Farm Services in order to perform this vital service. Got a first and a second. This is a roll call. Jackie, will you do roll?
Laura, let me jump in. So I would prefer it be more clear on the $2 that it be up to $2.
Actually, the last statement, so I didn't read the whole thing. I apologize. It says, there's two more paragraphs. The Board of Trustees now deem it to be the best interest of the public to purchase fuel from the Agriland Farm Services in the amount not to exceed $50,000 for 25,000 gallons of fuel at $2 a gallon. Now therefore be it resolved by the Indianola Municipal Utilities Board of Trustees that 25,000 gallons of fuel shall be purchased from Agriland in the amount of $50,000. So it does say not to exceed the $50,000.
But that's factoring in both the price and the quantity together. And
Right,
it's like we don't have a precise number for the quantity. I guess I would prefer it read that it's up to 25,000 gallons in quantity and at a price that's no more than $2 per gallon.
And I
Okay.
wouldn't even cap the volume. I'm more interested in the $2 a lesser gallon. If there's 26,000 gallons, are we not going to buy it?
I
If there's
agree with Mike.
26, I've got some discretion, so, you know, I've got $10,000 worth of discretion myself, and if it was 26.
well,
I'd
I
probably
think
make
Mike
that.
makes a good point.
Yeah.
If he comes back and says, I have 75,000 gallons at this low rate, is it in our interest to buy it? And can we store it?
Yeah, I mean, we could store it. We got room to go to the other tank if we had to. If it gets 70,000, I'm probably gonna tell him he's gonna have to wait, and I'm probably gonna bring it back to you maybe as a board
Okay.
to make that decision at that point with that kind of.
Well, I'm anticipating it's not going to be 70,000, but the reality is he's not sure. And yeah, he thinks there might be a maximum of 25, but there could be a little more than that. And I'm just saying at that price, I would not be opposed to buying it. I agree, Mike, if it's significantly over that,
Yep.
then we probably should have a further conversation, or if it's within Chris's wherewithal to take that on, I'd be okay with that too. Again, to your point, if this is 30% off, we know we're going to need it sometime.
Yep, for sure.
So Adam, help me with verbiage then. What do you think is in the best interest for how we state this?
Yeah, I don't have the verbiage in front of me, but something to the effect of that we approve the purchase of sufficient gallons of gas at a price that's no more than $2 per gallon.
Well, don't say gas.
Yeah, diesel.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna reread this, see if this is what you're thinking. Whereas the Board of Trustees now deem it to be in the best interest of the public to purchase fuel from Agriland Farm Services in the amount. This is a question. Are we gonna put a $50,000 cap on this? To purchase sufficient gallons of gas at $2 per gallon,
More than $2 per gallon.
Up to.
up to,
Up to, yeah.
or not to exceed.
Not to exceed, up to could be perceived as $1.99.
Yeah, not to exceed $2 a gallon. Do we want to keep the $50,000 cap in here?
I don't.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
Remove it.
Jackie, would you take roll call? We have a first and a second.
Board Member Selgrade,
Approve.
White,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Rosga,
Yes.
Boytz.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. And if it would exceed kind of what we've talked about, Mike will be back to
Yeah,
us.
I'll get back to you by then, but at least he'll know we're in it and we got an opportunity to purchase that fuel. I think it gets our foot in the door. If there's more than that, I can always say we can come back. And I think we got time till the next board meeting to make that decision if we get to that point. I appreciate everybody getting together on short notice.
Mike, quick question if I can. I know people are anxious to go. I am as well. You were talking about gravity flow out of this tank, and there's a certain amount that we don't even consume or use? What was that amount?
So it's still in the tank. It's once you get down to about that 60,000 gallons. There,
You said
because-
60,000.
Yep, because the tanks sit in a retention area, a spill containment area. So they sit down below or grade level over turbines. So you got to have so many gallons of fuel at the top to be able to push.
You need
the-
to have a certain amount of head pressure. I get that.
Yep.
My question is, so what if we get in a real bind, and once we get down to the point where, we're quote unquote empty, but yet we still got 60,000 gallons of fuel in there. Is there a way for us to use that if we needed to, or are we just out of luck?
You're out of luck. Yeah, we try to keep enough in there that we've got, that 3 to 5 days of runtime before we need to get another tanker in here. By that time, we can get tankers in here. I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, I'd have been more concerned about getting a truck here in that amount of time, but now we're in today's world, 24 hours, we can probably get a truck here in Indianola.
So then when you put new stuff in there, do you stir it, or is there a way to stir it so you can mix it?
Yep.
Or do you just, oh, okay.
Yep, when they put the fuel in, it comes in at the bottom, or it comes in, and when it goes in, that fuel, as it's going in, it mixes itself. It's kind of self-stirs itself as you put it in the tank.
Okay.
Yep,
Do we have fuel polishers or anything like that?
fuel what?
Polishers, cleaners?
No,
Life
we
cycle,
don't,
sir.
nothing like that in there.
Would we want to at some point, consider a pump of some sort that would, if we do get down to that 60,000, is for future? It might be
Yeah.
something to bring up, think about, nothing more.
Yep, the biggest thing would be we'd have to have above ground storage and then that containment type deal, storage to do that. And with them burning 30 gallons of fuel a minute, it had to be a fairly sizable size tank above ground. Yep. Sounds good.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Jackie, are you still there?
I am. Yep. I'll get that resolution amended and then get it printed off.
Okay, I just ended up scratching in that third paragraph,
Yep.
$3,000 for 25,000 gallons of, and just left it as not to exceed fuel at $2 a gallon.